My beloved child, today I call you to pause and listen, for there is something essential I desire to place within your heart. You are standing at the threshold of a transformation, yet so often you are unaware of it. You think the passing days are merely a continuation of the ordinary, but in truth every moment is an invitation to awaken and recognize that I am present. This call does not come to condemn you, but to stir your soul out of weariness, out of the unconscious inertia that has dimmed the light from me. Like the first ray of dawn breaking through the night, my call comes to open a new beginning for you. You may not yet see the road before you clearly, but I want you to know it is I who lead each step, and every step carries meaning within my divine plan. My child, how many times have you heard a whisper within your heart only to dismiss it as a fleeting emotion? In truth, it is I speaking to you through those whispers. I do not always choose to display my power in grand signs or wonders. Many times I come to you gently, subtly, to see whether your heart is attuned to me. When your soul is still chasing the noise of this world, you easily pass over the small but vital signals. Yet I call you to learn stillness, to let your spirit become calm, like a lake that mirrors the heavens so it may reflect the light from above. Then you will realize that I have always been speaking, always guiding. You only need the ears of the Spirit to hear. Your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Isaiah 3:0-1. This is the promise I give so that you will never wander alone. My child, I know there are still doubts in your heart, whether you truly hear my voice or not. You fear you may be mistaken, that the silence you feel is emptiness. But I tell you, my silence is never absence. It is the space where you learn to trust. When I speak softly, it is because I want to train your spiritual hearing to discern what is my voice, what is the voice of your own heart, and what is the deceiving voice of the enemy. Do not think I have abandoned you. In truth, I am shaping you to stand firm. For when you learn to recognize my whispers in the dark, you will know me even more clearly when the brilliant light appears. My child, what I long for is not that you live perfectly, never making mistakes, but that you always return to me with an open heart, willing to be corrected. A soul that knows how to listen also knows how to change, and that is what delights me. Do not fear beginning again. Do not shrink back from turning in a new direction when I call. Your journey is not measured by the number of times you stumble, but by the number of times you rise and continue walking with me. My call to you today is a new beginning, a beginning of awakening, so that you will no longer be imprisoned in the ordinary, but rise into the abundant life I have prepared. My beloved child, I now desire to open your eyes so that you may see the worth of the whisper I have placed within you. The world fills your ears with many sounds, empty promises, fears, and urgent cries to chase quick success. But my voice is not loud like that. It is like a gentle breeze at dawn, enough to stir your heart, but only those who pause can feel it. Remember, I never stop speaking, but not everyone hears, for they are too occupied with the clamor around them. What I want from you is a heart that listens, a mind that discerns, so that among the countless echoes you will recognize which word comes from me. My child, do not underestimate the small encouragements I plant within your spirit. They may seem like nothing more than a gentle nudge: stop, be silent, or speak kindly. In your eyes, these may appear trivial, unworthy of notice, but in truth they are the keys to peace in your heart and in your relationships with others. When you learn to follow these whispers, you will be spared many needless pains, and at the same time you will open the doors of blessing I have prepared. For my child, people look at great actions, but I look at the heart that obeys in the little things. Do you know why I choose to teach gently rather than command forcefully? Because I desire our relationship not to be one of compulsion, but of love's companionship. If I always thundered, you would obey only out of fear. But when I whisper, you must choose either to pay attention or to ignore. That very choice reveals your true love and trust toward me. My child, faith is not only proven in great deeds, but also in each small moment when you choose to heed my whisper instead of following your own reasoning. My child, make it a habit to pause throughout your day, to stop in the midst of work, in the middle of layered thoughts, and ask, Lord, what do you want me to do at this very moment? When you begin to do this, you will start to sense my guidance, step by step. I will show you not only the path you are to take, but also how to walk upon that path. This listening will not only help you avoid mistakes, it will also enable you to walk in the right timing. For my child, there are things that are good but not yet timely, and there are actions that seem small but carry eternal meaning. Only when you learn to hear my voice will you discern which steps are truly right. My child, I know that listening is not easy in a world filled with noise. But I also know there is within you a deep longing, a longing to be close to me and to understand my will. I tell you that longing is not in vain. When you seek me with all your heart, you will find me. I will not leave you wandering in uncertainty forever. In moments of stillness, you will sense my whisper in many ways, through a scripture that comes alive at the perfect moment, through a gentle word of counsel from another, or through a strange and quiet peace in your own soul. Do not take these signs lightly, for they are the evidence that I am walking with you. Remember, how many times have you heard a prompting within, and when you obeyed, the outcome exceeded your expectations, and how many times when you ignored it, you had to face regret. These experiences are precious lessons, showing you that the calm whisper was not accidental. It was me. From now on, my child, choose to live with greater sensitivity. Train your spiritual ears. For the righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1:17. And faith is not only believing that I exist, but believing that every whisper of mine carries meaning for your journey. My beloved child, let this awareness become your strength. For when you know how to listen, you will no longer walk in confusion. You will see that every day has a direction, every challenge has an answer, and every decision carries my guidance. When you realize this, fear will fade, for you will know you are never abandoned. Even in darkness, you will be able to rest, trusting that I am still speaking, still showing the way, still taking your hand step by step. And this is the true beginning of a new life, the life of one who listens and obeys. My dear child, today I want to open your eyes to a vital truth. Your tongue is not just a small organ in your body, but an instrument with sacred power. From it can flow words that build up, but also words that destroy. Many times you have not noticed, thinking your speech is only fleeting sound that vanishes into the air. But in the unseen realm, every word you speak sows a seed. Some seeds sprout into healing, encouragement, and unity. Others grow into wounds, doubt, and distance. My child, I tell you this: you are made in my image, and your words carry creative power just as mine did when I spoke the universe into being. Therefore, you must be awake and intentional about every word that comes from your mouth. Recall those times when a gentle word from you healed someone's broken heart. In that moment, you were like me, for I too have used loving words to lift, to comfort, and to restore. But also remember the times when a single careless remark spoken in irritation left a deep wound in someone else's soul. You did not mean to hurt them, but the seed was sown, and the root of hurt took hold. My child, the tongue holds the power of life and death. Choose to use it to give life. I long to see your mouth become a stream of sweetness, refreshing dry hearts, not a scorching wind that withers the precious relationships I have placed in your life. My child, the world teaches that words are merely tools to express thought. But in my kingdom, words are also spiritual weapons. The enemy knows this well, which is why it always tries to make you careless, releasing words that harm or sow doubt. It does not need you to commit some great wrong. One unguarded sentence is enough to open a breach where seeds of division can be planted. That is why I call you to guard your lips as a watchman guards a city gate. Not so you live in fear, but so you realize that every word carries weight, and you bear responsibility before me for the seeds you sow with your speech. Do you know why I have given you the gift of language? It is not merely for you to communicate, but for you to become an instrument of creation and restoration. When you speak words of encouragement, you are giving others the strength to stand firm. When you utter a prayer, you are opening the gates of heaven for my grace to pour out. When you proclaim the truth, you are causing darkness to retreat. Therefore, my child, you must learn to use your mouth as an instrument of righteousness. Let your lips become a musical instrument that plays the melody of life, instead of a weapon that unwittingly causes harm. My child, I do not say this to make you live in guilt or fear because of past mistakes. I know you have sometimes been careless, and I also know your heart has never intended to harm anyone. But today I want you to step up to a higher place, the place of awareness, wisdom, and spiritual maturity. Ask me to set a guard at the door of your lips so that every word you speak will be seasoned with grace. When you allow me to guide your speech, you will see your surroundings transformed. Tension will dissolve, suspicion will be replaced with trust, and coldness will turn into love. My child, I also want you to know that your words not only affect others but also touch your own soul. When you speak negativity, your own spirit grows heavy. But when you declare faith, hope, and my promises, you yourself are strengthened. That is why I call you to learn to proclaim my truth every day. Do not let your mouth merely mirror your circumstances, but let it become an instrument that reveals power and life from heaven. For my child, when you speak my words, you are partnering with heaven to bring light into dark places. Therefore, my beloved child, treasure your tongue as a precious gift. Do not let it be ruled by anger, fatigue, or frustration. Offer it to me so it becomes a spring of sweet water. Remember that every word you speak can be a seed planted in someone else's life. What do you want to sow? Healing or harm, unity or division, encouragement or discouragement? This choice rests in your hands. I have entrusted this power to you, and I also call you to use it with wisdom and love. My child, let your mouth be a testimony that you belong to me, the Word who spoke and brought life to all creation. My beloved child, now I want to speak to you about another area just as important, the small acts of obedience. You often think that only great works or major decisions shape destiny. But I tell you, in my kingdom, nothing is small or meaningless. A humble gesture, a step of surrender, a seemingly ordinary decision can change the course of an entire story. You see, when I prompt you to do something even as simple as extending a hand to help someone or speaking a word of encouragement, that act does not appear by chance. It is a link in the great plan I am weaving. And if that link is missed, the larger picture will lack the color I had intended. My child, I know there have been times when you clearly felt my prompting, but then reason stepped in, telling you it was not urgent, or surely someone else would do it. You delayed, you pushed it aside, thinking your hesitation had no consequence. But my child, in the realm of heaven, that delay may mean missing an opportunity I arranged. There is someone who needs your hand, and only you are the instrument I have chosen to reach them. There is a word of encouragement that only your mouth can deliver at the appointed time. When you pass it by, that person may continue bearing their burden, and a part of my marvelous arrangement falls out of rhythm. Remember, I do not prompt by accident. Everything I place in your heart carries eternal meaning. My child, obedience is not measured by the grandeur of the act, but by the swiftness and completeness of your response. When you hesitate, your doubt opens a door for uncertainty to creep in. The longer you delay, the easier it becomes to convince yourself the action is not important. But know this, it is the immediately that reveals your true trust in me. You do not need to understand every reason nor see the entire map. You need only to step as soon as I speak. For I am the one who holds the whole picture, and you are simply called to do your part in the piece entrusted to you. As Scripture says, be doers of the word and not hearers, only deceiving yourselves, James 1:2. My child, to hear and not act is to forfeit the blessing already prepared for you. I know there are moments when you are afraid of making mistakes, afraid of not being strong enough, afraid of being misunderstood by others. Yet, my child, the obedience I seek from you does not rest on your perfection but on my power. All I ask is that you offer me your heart's yes. The rest I myself will provide. As you walk forward, you will see each door open at the right time, each resource supplied, each person appearing precisely when you need support. But it all begins only when you choose to act immediately. If you wait until everything is clear, you will never take the first step. True faith does not wait until it sees. It trusts even when sight has not yet come. My child, I also want you to understand that instant obedience does not only benefit others, it shapes and trains your own spirit. Every time you respond without delay, your heart is molded to become more sensitive to my voice. You will learn to discern my leading more easily because you have practiced obeying it. In contrast, every time you hesitate, you dull your spiritual hearing. Gradually, it becomes harder to recognize my whisper, and you lose the sharpness you once had. My desire is not for you to live in confusion, but in clarity and confidence, knowing I am guiding each of your steps. Therefore, beloved child, train yourself to obey as soon as I prompt you. Even if the task seems small, even if no one notices, even if you do not yet understand the reason, do it at once. You never know what a single small action may unlock. It may be a word that keeps a soul from despair. It may be a gesture that lets someone feel my love for the first time. It may be the key that opens a door of blessing for your own life. Do not take it lightly, my child, for what seems small in your hands can become extraordinary in mine. I remind you of this not to burden you with guilt over past delays, but to awaken you to the opportunities ahead. My grace is sufficient to cover what you have missed. But today I call you to choose a new path, the path of immediate obedience without hesitation. As you live this way, your life will become rich, for you will be walking in the rhythm of heaven. You will no longer be filled with regret over missed chances, but with joy at partnering with me in the smallest details of your days. My child, this is the secret of living in the fullness I have promised you. People often think of righteousness as a heavy scale of law, where every mistake must be paid for in equal measure. But I, the one who made heaven and earth, am not only a just judge. I am also a compassionate father. My heart leans more toward restoration than toward destruction. My mercy is the bridge spanning the chasm your failures have created. When you fall, you imagine yourself cut off from me forever. Yet it is in that very moment that I run closer, stretching out my arms to lift you up. Mercy is not a distant concept. It is my own breath breathed into your soul to keep you from being crushed under the weight of guilt. I see the times you tremble at the thought of the consequences of your mistakes. You have believed I look at you only through the lens of judgment, and so you have hesitated to draw near. But I tell you this, my mercy is greater than any verdict. Look at the scriptures. My people in the Old Covenant often thought punishment was the end, but I always left a way back. Even when Israel rebelled, I still promised I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Jeremiah 3:1-3. That word is not only for them, it is for you today. I am not seeking a reason to cast you off. I am seeking every reason to restore you. When I discipline, it is not to destroy, but to correct and redeem. Do you remember the image of the potter and the clay? When a vessel cracks, the potter does not throw it away at once. He patiently kneads and reshapes it from the beginning. So it is with you, my child. You may see the fractures in your own soul, the broken places in your life, and think you are beyond use. But in my hands every fragment can be remade, and through those very cracks I pour out my glorious light for others to see. My mercy is the guarantee that no failure can define you forever. Only my love defines who you are. My child, there are moments when you feel you deserve punishment, and you hesitate to pray because you think I have turned my face away. Yet I long to hear your voice even when it trembles and falters. Do you think I smile only when you do everything right? No. My child, I also rejoice when I see you humbly return, admit your weakness and desire to be renewed. It is at that very moment that my mercy pours out most powerfully. For what I seek is not perfection, but a sincere heart. When you are honest about your brokenness, you open the door for me to enter and heal you. My child, I also want you to understand that my mercy does not contradict my justice. I am still the Holy One, and sin cannot be excused. But instead of letting you bear the sentence yourself, I placed it all upon my Son, Jesus Christ. He bore the judgment in your place, so that justice would be satisfied and mercy fully given. Therefore, when you draw near to me, you do not come in fear, but in the confidence of a child who has been forgiven. This does not mean you continue in your wrongs. It means that each time you fall, you have the right to rise again, for the blood of the Savior has opened the way. Look back at those times when you thought you had been abandoned. You felt lost, yet the door still opened. Provision still came and comfort still overflowed. That is proof that my mercy has never left your life. I want you to engrave this in your heart. Judgment may expose the fault, but only mercy can bring you back. And I, your God, choose for mercy to triumph over judgment. For if judgment alone ruled, all humanity would perish. But through mercy, people have hope, a future, and a chance to be transformed. My child, step closer to this bridge of mercy. Do not fear that your wounds are too deep or your darkness too thick. There is no abyss my mercy cannot reach. When you think you have gone too far, I still run to embrace you like a father embracing the prodigal child. And I do more than forgive, I restore you. I set your dignity back in place. I clothe you again with honor. This is the beauty of mercy, not only erasing the past but rebuilding the future. My beloved child, this is the gift I long for you to receive today. Remember what I spoke to my Apostle Paul. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 1:2-9. This word was not only for Paul but also for you. You may think your weakness is a hindrance, but in my eyes, it is the very doorway for grace to flow in. When you see yourself as helpless, that is when I can act most powerfully. For grace does not come to reinforce your self-reliance, but to replace your own strength with my infinite power. My child, my grace never stops at mere forgiveness. Forgiveness is the beginning, but grace continues the work of renewal. It teaches you to say no to what is evil and yes to what is holy. It not only wipes away the stain, but changes the desire, making you long for righteousness instead of darkness. Grace is like the fire that refines gold. It does not come to destroy, but to remove the dross until you reflect my image with clarity. Let grace do its work within you, for it will turn your weaknesses into strength and your old habits into opportunities for growth. My child, at times you may think grace is only for when you sin. But I tell you, grace is needed for every day you live. When you are weary, grace gives energy. When you are confused, grace gives wisdom. When you are afraid, grace gives courage. Grace is not a key you use only once. It is the breath you need every moment. I want you to make it a habit not only to seek grace when you stumble, but to lean on it in every decision, every action. You will see your life change as grace becomes your continual supply, not just an emergency remedy. My child, I know there are times you feel hesitant to approach grace because you think you are unworthy. But it is precisely because you are unworthy that grace becomes a gift. If you could earn it yourself, it would no longer be grace. I do not give to you because of your merit, but because of my love. I do not demand that you be perfect before I offer it. I offer it so that you may be transformed. Remember, this grace is never a license to remain in sin, but the power to break free from it. Whoever truly tastes grace will not want to go back to the old path, for they have discovered the sweetness of freedom in me. My child, I also want you to know that my grace not only transforms you, but longs to flow through you to others. When you receive it, you are called to become a channel through which grace streams. Forgive because you have been forgiven. Be patient because I have been patient with you. Lift others up because I have lifted you up. Grace does not stop at one individual life. It stretches outward so that whole communities may be changed. And when you allow grace to pour through you, you become a living testimony that I am at work upon the earth. Beloved child, do not think of grace as something vague or elusive. It is practical power. It is the strength that raises you up after every fall. It is the light that shines on your path in difficult decisions. It is the shield that blocks the arrows of doubt from the enemy. It is the wellspring of life in a barren wilderness. And above all, grace is the sign that I have never let you go, that your journey is not over, and that your future remains in my hands. My beloved child, the path you are walking is not strewn with roses, nor is it a smooth road without storms. It is like a long pilgrimage where every step you take carries meaning even when you cannot yet see it. You often wish to reach the destination quickly, but I want you to understand, it is in the journey itself that you are transformed. The destination is only the reward. The process is where you learn patience, trust, and maturity. I have not called you to become perfect in an instant. I have called you to cling tightly to me, even when everything around seems to rise against you. My child, look at your journey as gold placed in the refiner's fire. When the flames rise, gold is not destroyed but purified. The impurities are burned away, leaving a radiant purity behind. So it is with your life. The trials, the losses, the collisions do not come to destroy you, but to remove what hinders my light from shining through you. I know that when you step into the fire, you feel pain. You feel as though you might collapse. But remember, my child, I do not allow the fire to consume. I allow it to refine. I stand with you in the furnace, just as I stood with the 3 friends of Daniel in the blazing flames. And what was the outcome? They emerged without even the smell of smoke on their garments. So will you when you pass through the fire. You will emerge with a steadfast faith and a heart clearer than ever before. My child, you often wonder why I do not remove every hardship so that you could live easily. I tell you this, if you never faced adversity, you would never discover the true strength of faith. Without contrary winds, a sail will never stretch. Without high mountains, you will never see the wide horizon. It is precisely these challenges that make you lift your eyes to me. It is the treacherous turns that show you that you cannot rely on yourself, but must hold tightly to your Father's hand. Each difficulty is not a sign of my abandonment, but a witness that I am training you for a greater purpose. My child, remember the forefathers of your faith. Abraham had to leave his homeland without knowing where he was going, relying only on my promise. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading my people out of Egypt. King David spent many years hiding in caves before sitting on the throne. All of them went through long pilgrimages with severe refining fires. But in that very process they learned that I am faithful and that my purpose is always greater than temporary comfort. My child, your journey today carries the same meaning. Your tears are not wasted. They are watering the ground where I plant the seeds of faith. My child, I know there are times you want to turn back to stop because the path feels too rough. But I call you to continue, for each step is one closer to wholeness. Let your eyes stay fixed on me, the one who began and will complete your faith. When you feel weary, remember that I am your strength. When you feel alone, remember that I am with you. When you feel lost, remember that I am your compass. This journey is not you walking alone, it is you walking with me. And with every step I am transforming you to bear more clearly the image of my Son, Jesus Christ. Therefore, beloved child, look at every trial with new eyes. Do not see fire as destruction, but as the furnace of refining. Do not see hardship as failure, but as the opportunity to be purified. Do not see the long journey as meaningless, but as the place where I am writing your story with eternal love and wisdom. Believe that as you walk faithfully, even slowly, and with difficulty, you will at last see how I have transformed you into a precious instrument for my kingdom. My beloved child, after you have come to understand that this journey is like a refining fire, I desire to teach you something even deeper. Spiritual transformation does not take place only in the moments when you stand alone before me, but also in the way you treat those around you. Many of the wounds in your heart have sprung from fractured relationships, careless words, and missed opportunities to love. For this reason, an essential part of transformation is the courage to look directly at those places, to acknowledge them, to make them right, and to allow me to restore them. I do not want you to change only inwardly without acting outwardly. I want your transformation to bear visible fruit in your words, your attitude, your forgiveness, and your kindness toward others. My child, I know that humbly apologizing and seeking reconciliation is not easy. You fear losing face, fear rejection, fear that the other person will not receive you. But I speak to you this truth when you step out in humility. My grace will go before you like a gentle breeze, opening the way into the other heart. Remember that when my Son Jesus Christ came into the world, he humbled himself and washed the feet of his disciples. That act was not only an illustration of service, but also a model of lowering oneself for the sake of another. When you choose humility, you are not weak. You are reflecting my very strength. When you take the initiative to reconcile, you are not diminishing your worth. You are becoming like the one who left his throne of glory to redeem humanity. My child, understand that reconciliation not only restores your relationship with others, but also frees you from your own burden. When you hold on to bitterness or unconfessed guilt, your soul is bound. But when you dare to acknowledge, to apologize, to forgive, you will experience an extraordinary lightness, a peace that the mind cannot comprehend. It is my peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding. I call you to enter this process not by your own strength, but by my Spirit working within you. My child, true transformation is measured by your capacity to let grace and mercy flow outward. You are not called to keep for yourself what I have given. You are called to become a channel so that others may see my character through you: love, patience, forgiveness, gentleness. When you reflect these qualities, you help rebuild, what has been broken not only in your personal relationships, but also in the community around you. You will become like yeast that leavens the dough, like salt that brings savor, like light that shines forth. My child, I know there are people who have wounded you deeply. You may think, how can I forgive? But remember, I do not call you to forgive in your own strength. I give you grace to do it. Forgiveness is not denying the pain, but placing that pain into my hands for me to deal with and to heal. Forgiveness is not condoning wrong, but freeing your heart from the chains of bitterness. When you forgive, you declare that the past no longer has the right to define your present, and the enemy no longer has the right to control your mind. My child, as you walk into this process, you will see transformation spread. Relationships once cold will be warmed again. Opportunities once lost will be reopened by me at the appointed time. You will see yourself differently, not as a victim of mistakes or of the past, but as one who carries a mission of healing. And through you, others will also be encouraged to step into their own process of transformation. You will become a lighthouse not only because you have passed through the furnace, but because you have allowed me to turn your pain into oil for the flame. My beloved child, I do not say this to lay a burden upon you, but to invite you into true freedom. When you courageously make amends, when you actively seek reconciliation, when you choose to reflect my nature, you are stepping out of darkness into light, and that light will not only guide you, but also guide others. Believe that I am with you in every conversation, in every apology, in every intentional step. I will place words upon your lips. I will soften the heart of the one before you, and I will use you to reveal my love. Therefore, my child, do not fear this process. Do not fear humility, for in it lies strength. Do not fear stepping forward, for I have gone before you. Do not fear opening your heart, for I am the one who keeps you. Let the inward transformation become outward action. Let every word you speak, every deed you do, every gesture you offer be a testimony to the grace you have received. Then you will not only be transformed, but will also become a living witness of my power to restore in the midst of a broken world. My beloved child, I want you to step out and allow what you have received to become a flowing stream reaching others. I have poured mercy and grace into your life, not for you to lock away as treasure in a hidden chest, but for you to become a channel, a living river, carrying life everywhere you go. Do not think your life is too small to make an impact. I speak to you, even a tiny light in the night is enough to guide lost travelers. In the same way, if your life is open to me, it will become a lighthouse guiding many who wander in the darkness of despair. My child, remember how many times I have upheld you, forgiven you, restored you, opened doors when every way seemed closed. Each of those experiences was not only to make you steadfast, but also to make you a living witness of my love. When you tell your story, when you share the grace you have received, you are planting seeds of hope into hearts that are yearning. People may argue with theories, but they cannot deny a life that has been transformed. My child, your story is the powerful weapon I have placed in your hand to proclaim the truth that I still act, still redeem, still transform. My child, do not wait until you think you are good enough or perfect enough to speak out. I do not call you to be an untarnished statue. I call you to be a clay vessel bearing cracks that have been mended with the gold of grace. It is precisely those cracks filled with my love that will shine, and others will realize I can do the same for them. Do not hide the places once broken, for they are proof of the power of mercy. When you are honest about what I have delivered you from, you will bring comfort and encouragement to those in the same place. My child, this world is not lacking in judgments, cold stares, and harsh words. But the world is longing for something else. It longs to see mercy expressed through real people, through kind words, through small actions, through genuine presence. When you choose to speak encouragement instead of criticism, when you extend a helping hand instead of turning away, when you choose forgiveness instead of holding on to bitterness, you become a witness of another reality, the reality of my kingdom. And my child, those seemingly simple actions have a deeper impact than any sermon. Remember, love is not always shown through great deeds. Many times it is expressed in very small things, a sincere question of concern, a smile offered to someone burdened, a timely cup of water, a hand laid on a shoulder to comfort. I say to you, not one act of love is wasted in my sight. They are all recorded in the book of remembrance in heaven. When you step out to live this way, you not only bless others, but also lay up eternal treasure for yourself. My child, I want you to know that spreading mercy and grace is not a burden, but a joy. It is not a dull duty, but a natural overflow from a heart that has been filled. When you drink from the living water I give you, yourself will become a spring for others, and the more you pour out, the more you will be filled for. My grace never runs dry. Do not be afraid of losing when you give, for in my kingdom the one who gives is the one who receives even more. Therefore, my beloved child, I call you to live a life that actively sows mercy and grace. Do not wait for others to come to you. You go out carrying my love into barren places. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Let every day, every moment become an opportunity. You will find that when you live this way, your life will not only hold meaning for yourself, but will also become a bridge, drawing many nearer to me. Thank you for listening to this message. Know that you are not merely an observer. You are chosen to live in the presence of God's Word each day. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss any divine message. Amen.